are you going to call a special session?
Let me ask Dick to come up. Dick, work your way around those cameras. Let me ask Director Armstrong if he can kind of give you the background. And I think it's important that we understand the consequences of doing nothing. And then I'll follow up that with what we're working on. Go ahead.
Thank you, Governor. We have received notice of the intent of Children and Family Services to disapprove our state plan. And what that means is we have 60 days in order to cure the situation, meaning that we will be then in compliance with all of the provisions that are set forth. Our challenge is that we really do need to be clearly engaged in the interstate compact that we've been part of for decades. Since 1996, when healthcare reform or welfare reform took place, Idaho has been an active member of that treaty with the other states. We depend on reciprocity with other states in order to move court orders for support from one state to Idaho, and for us to reciprocate and move money from Idaho to other states. We have built all of our operating systems around those tools that have been made available. We're very efficient. We have always sought to have a highly effective and efficient system to work with other states. Unfortunately, the loss of this approval means then that not only do we lose the federal dollars that we have depended on for forever, about 2/3 of our operating budget comes from federal support, but more importantly is we do not have access to the tools that allow us to be able to, for example, withhold wages from an employer in another state, for us to be able to use location tools, for us to be able to identify where the non-custodial parent might be in the United States. So we're greatly concerned of the unintended consequences of this action, and certainly look to the governor and the legislature to help us find an answer, find a cure, so we can then go back to doing the business of supporting families in Idaho.
You might mention the letter that you're going to have to send.
Yes, we have an obligation to all of our customers to notify them of any significant change in operations that would impact their daily lives or the benefits they receive. And so we are preparing a letter which we will send to all of the households in Idaho that are currently receiving support dollars from our agency. It's the right thing to do, because these folks will have to make some significant adjustments in their daily budgets and their daily lives if we are unable to transfer this money to their households.
Any other questions on the impact bill?
Governor, so you have 60 days window to correct this somehow. Is there any solution other than a special session, calling the legislators back in to revote this? Is there an administrative solution? If there's not, do you have a timetable in mind for when you might announce a decision on the session?
Well, the timetable that we have in mind is relative to the letter that we received. And that is, we were trying to figure out, we're 60 days from when we received the letter or when the letter was sent. So it's either June 12th or June 14th that we're going to have a solution. Otherwise, we're going to suffer the unintended consequences that Director Armstrong just outlined.
And so how are you going to find that solution?
Well, we had a meeting with the pro tem and the speaker this morning, and to work out a path forward. I'm not prepared to go into the nuts and bolts of that path forward. But I think it's important over the next few days, as quickly as possible, and as Director Armstrong gets the letter out to, what would that be? How many people?
155,000 households.
155,000, which is more people than the
Oh, certainly.
155,000 households. But getting that letter out so that folks recognize, I think, is going to get back and engage folks in saying, okay, where are we going to go? And putting the kind of emphasis on the failure of 1067 that we have already started to receive input from.
But Governor, you're the only one who can call a special session of the legislature, and if that's the only way to fix this, are you going to do it?
Well, I think there's an anticipation, or I would expect that I'm not prepared to stand up here today and tell you I'm going to call a special session, because I think there's a lot of homework for us to do in order, if we were to have a special session, to have a successful one that folks are informed, one that they understand all the nuances, that they understand the pros and cons, and engaging the legislative leadership, the legislative committees, health and welfare, on the issue, so that as we do go forward, we're not, it's not another issue that we short stroke. That was one of the complaints that we had, but I would remind you that the bill was introduced in the early part of February, in fact, I think February 12th. It actually came out of committee on March 11th in the Senate. It was passed 3401 in the Senate on March 20th, and so advanced to the House, and so I would hardly call that a late night effort for us to quote unquote pull the wool over somebody's eyes. So I don't want to be accused of that again, so it's going to be a very deliberative and engaging process with all the stakeholders.